I told you I would burp. You didn't believe me. What's up? I told you I'd burp. Hey, bookish friends, how are you? Welcome or welcome back. I'm Elizabeth. This is Reading Riley, where we like to read Riley, not take ourselves too seriously, and have some fun with books. Today, we're doing a May wrap-up. I have 12 books to talk to you about today. I have divided them up into 3 sections, the first of which is going to be a mixture of sci-fi, magical realism, as well as a speculative type of note. I will have 4 of those for you. The second category we're going to be talking about is romance. I have 2 romances, and the last category I am putting horror and thrillers together, and I have 6 of those for this month. Before we get into those, I want to just take a second to talk about some changes I'm going to be making for the style of wrap-up that I do on this channel. I read too many books to do all of these in one episode, so it's getting ridiculous the length of my wrap-up. So what I've decided to do is actually do a mid-month and an end-of-the-month wrap-up. That way, they're not an hour long, and we can talk about the books as we go. So that's my solution for that. Moving forward in the month of June, I'll have 2 wrap-ups, a mid-month and an end-of-month. Secondly, I've been seeing this thing going around on BookTube where people are reading the first line of the book, and I really enjoy watching those. I feel like it gives you the tone, it gives you just a teeny tiny little slice of what the writing style is going to be like, and it gives you this overall little tiny glimpse of the feel of what the book is going to be about. So I want to start including that when I talk about books as well. Sometimes it's a really bad first line, but it's still a great book, and sometimes it's an awesome first line and it's a bad book, but sometimes it's a really great first line and a really great book. I'm just excited to try something a little bit different. Oh yeah, TBRs. I'm also going to be reinstituting the TBR, but I don't know what I'm going to call it yet. It's not going to be a TBR like you know it, but I'm just going to point out 3 or 4 books that I'm really interested in that precise moment, that are catching my attention, that I really am excited to get into. And I'm not going to make any kind of promises that I'm going to get to it that month or it's going to show up on my wrap up for absolute sure, because I am a mood reader, so I'm not going to betray my own senses by setting myself up for failure. But I do want to, like, there's some books that I'm just really excited to read, and I want to let you guys know about that. I will be adding that as well, and that will probably come out tomorrow or the next day. Okay, so let's get into the books. So the first one I want to talk about today in the sci-fi, speculative, magical realism section is going to be All Systems Red by Martha Wells. And this is the first novella in the Murderbot Diaries series. It is a series of novella by Tor. As you can see, it's just a little guy. We're following Murderbot. This is told in first person in the perspective of the robot. We're in the spacefaring future and there is planetary explorations. There's a company that is in charge of sending out these explorers, but they insist on sending a robot with all of them because it's a safety procedure, it's a precaution. If something really bad happens, the robot can go out and spare the lives of the actual humans. But this particular robot has managed to hack its governing module. They now spend most of their time trying to get away from the humans so they can watch soap operas and action adventure series and just all of this media that they've uploaded into their files. This book is just very much a character-driven, fun story. If you're not into sci-fi and you've been thinking about checking it out, I would recommend this as well as another one that I'm actually going to point out in just a few minutes here. Yeah, this absolutely, it's not heavy on atmosphere, it's not heavy on plot. Because it is so short, all of these pages go towards Murderbot, and it is self-named itself Murderbot. Murderbot is anxious and depressed, and their interactions with humans are just really awkward and so lovable, and you just end up falling in love with this robot. There's a lot of commentary on what makes us human and what's the line that's drawn between AI and humanity. There are lots of people with bot parts. There are bots with people parts. There are just bots like Murderbot, who people are afraid of, who could cause immense damage. But really, they're just a total softie and just awkward and just as insecure as the rest of us humans. So where does the line get drawn? I can't forget the first line. Okay, all systems red. First line says, oh, this is a good one. I could have become a mass murderer after I hacked my governor module, but then I realized I could access the combined feed of entertainment channels carried on the company's satellites. 4 stars. And I read this on Scribd and physically. So the next book is Meet Me in Another Life by Catriona Silva. I gave 4.5 stars. I absolutely loved this. I read it on Audible, partially on physical. I got the book after I had started it. There's really not a good way to describe this book because there's a twist that is a huge part of this story that I can't tell you anything about without spoiling it. But I will say the only tiny thing I will tell you is that the reason that this category is sci-fi, speculative, and magical realism is because this book is all of those things. And that's all I'm going to tell you about that. Going into the book at the beginning, let me just give you a brief description. We're following Thora and Santi. They are college students and they happen to meet up and they have these kindred souls. They just feel this really weird connection. Thora's kind of timid and he wants to see her again, but she kind of pushes him back. She's like, well, I'll see him another time. And then this tragic accident befalls Santi. And then we follow both of them in multiple lives over and over and over and over again. Sometimes they're teacher and student, sometimes they're father and daughter, sometimes they're caretaker and caregiver. They're always a cynic and a believer. Santi's a believer, Thora's a cynic. I fully relate to Thora. But then they start to remember that they know each other in these separate lives. There's a pattern to when they're coming back. When they die means they come back at a certain age, and so they're always different ages when they come back and they meet again, and they have to figure out why. That's the crux of this book, is why is this happening? Is it a spiritual thing? Is it not? Is it some kind of fated connection between the two of them? What is it? It's just so good. The end of this made me cry. It was everything that I never knew that I always wanted. I went into this thinking it was just about that. It's not. It's so much more. But I fully, highly, highly recommend you to check this out. It just came out in April, I think. Catriona Silva herself is just like a really badass woman, let alone a great author. Yeah, I fully recommend this. So let's read the first line, and it is, Thora wishes she could start again. And does she? Oh, she does. All right, moving on. Next, we have another book. Actually, my next 2 books are by the same author, but they're probably not the 2 books that you guess. And with that being said, it is The Martian by Any Weir. I absolutely loved this book. Sorry, we're getting a little glare. She's a shiny girl. I loved this book so much. So we're following Mark Watney. He's an astronaut. Him and his crew are the first to take a step on Mars. And then this crazy sandstorm comes. He gets impaled by like a satellite. And his crew leaves. They think he's dead. He's got to be dead. He's in space. He's been impaled. He's dead, so they leave. He's not dead. And then he wakes up and has to figure out how to live and how to get off this damn planet. I loved the humor in this. I loved Any Weir's writing. There's a lot of math in this book, and that kind of threw me back a little bit. But the thing is, I love numbers, but I hate math. So I don't want to have to solve the equations, but if you can tell me about the numbers and tell me the results of that and how that affects what you have to do and have to make a plan, this guy is the eternal optimist and so smart. Like, how do you even write this, Any Weir? How do you think of these things? Like, where's your brain? These are one of those things where I'm just like, God, I want to be with Any Weir at the end of the world. If there is an apocalypse, I want to be with Any Weir because he's going to know how to figure that shit out and work it out bit by bit. I promise you that. Some of the technical stuff did go a little bit over my head as I was reading it, but then I ended up watching the adaptation afterwards, which I had seen a long time ago but didn't remember at all. That really was a lot more accessible. I feel like some people, when they say like they love this book, it's almost like a humble brag because it's very technical and it's fucking space. Like, it's a lot of math and
things that have to be thought out and worked out and stacked upon ideas and ideas to get to one little thing of that needs to be finished for you to do 10 more steps to get to that thing
to help you survive. It's insane. Some of the things that he was describing, like the spaceship things, I just like couldn't mentally picture in my head. I still enjoy the story, but I felt like with the adaptation, it was a lot more accessible, and it helped me mentally picture more of the things that I couldn't quite grasp when I was reading the book, but I absolutely loved it. I loved them both. I loved the book and I loved the adaptation. 4.5 stars. I read this on Audible. It's told in like log entries for the most part, so I guess this would be considered an epistolary, which is one of my favorite writing techniques. Yeah, I guess that's it. 4.5 stars. Let's read the first line, and that is log entry, Soul 6, which is basically day 6. I'm pretty much fucked. That's the Martian. Next, I don't have a physical copy of this one, but I read it on Scribd, and it's also by Any Weir, and it's actually a short story. A short story. It's literally 3 pages long, and it's called The Egg.
Holy hell.
This is the one I want to suggest to you if you are not into sci-fi, and if you don't know if you're into sci-fi, or it's just kind of weird and you feel like, I don't want to invest in like a whole book. You go check out this short story. It's literally 3 pages. It will take you 3 minutes, 4 minutes to read it. How Any Weir can pack so much into this little tiny work. It's just like, it's almost like he's getting cocky. Andy, we know you're a good writer. Okay, give me a whole novel of that. I want a whole novel. Since it's only 3 pages, I really can't tell you much about it, but I am gonna read you the first line, and that is, you were on your way home when you died. That's all you need to know. Gave it 5 stars. We're gonna move on to our 2 romances this month, and the first of which is People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. This one I really enjoyed. I gave it 4 stars. This I got for the book of the month. I listened to it on Audible, and I didn't read any of this physically. Let me know if you guys want me to make a video about why I like to listen to books and buy them, because I know it sounds excessive, okay? But I have reasons. I do. But anyway, this is not the time nor place. People We Meet on Vacation. We're following Poppy and Alex. This has been compared to When Harry Met Sally multiple times, and I get that. I don't feel the kind of nostalgia that I feel for When Harry Met Sally, but I feel like that's kind of a personal thing for me. But in the aspect that they met in college, they spark up this friendship on this long drive home. They spark up this friendship. It's not like When Harry Met Sally in the sense that When Harry Met Sally, Meg Ryan is never really attracted to him. That's a true friendship. This one, there is that little inkling of we're into each other, but we just haven't made the move. She's like a travel blogger. He is a teacher. He's an English teacher. They've been going on vacation together for the last 10 years. Every summer since they sparked up this friendship. Through the years, they each have partners, and they try to navigate their relationship, then the special bond that they have with each other's relationships as they come and go. But last year, one of the years they went on vacation and something happened and it got all jacked up, and they haven't spoken in 2 years. Now they are reacquainting themselves with each other to go on one last trip, like try and rekindle this friendship, see if we can fix what's been broken. And as we're telling the story of this current vacation, you're also getting all of the past vacations. So it's very atmospheric. You want to feel like you are on the beach, or you want to feel like the vacation vibes. Absolutely read this story. I thought it was cute. I really did like these characters. It's very much opposites attract. Friends to lovers. It's not perfect, but it was a fun read and I was entertained. Let's see what the first line is. It says, prologue, 5 summers ago. On vacation, you can be anyone you want. Pretty true. Next, I read another romance. This one I gave 4.25 stars, and that is
The Kiss Quotient.
The Kiss Quotient by Helen Hoang. These characters were so lovable. We're following Stella, and she has Asperger's. She's on the autism spectrum. She's an economist.
She does numbers
to help people market things. Brilliant at it. She's a freaking genius at it. Her parents really want her to find a man and settle down and be happy, but she's rich as hell too. Like, she does great at her job. That's kind of the only thing that's missing in her life. And she realizes that she does want that, but she needs to learn. And so what she does is she ends up hiring a male escort, Michael, to teach her how to sex and to teach her how to relationship. I mean, what do you expect? It's a romance. They fall in love. This is not a This is not a new thing. There is miscommunication. Actually, in both of these romances, there's some miscommunication going on, so if that bothers you, you may not like it. But this one was so sweet. There was a lot of Vietnamese culture talked about in Michael's family. They have this shared love of martial arts. Michael's the kind of hero that I like because he's very much the fall on your sword for the people you love type guy, and that just gets me every time. Like, I'm a sucker for that. I ended up really liking this. I highly recommend it. Let's read the first line. Chapter 1. I know you hate surprises, Stella. A little bit underwhelming, but very true, and that is a huge part of her character. She hates surprises. Moving on to the last category, we are going to be talking about thrillers and horror books. The first one that I want to talk about is one that absolutely blew my freaking mind, and I cannot believe I missed the bus on this one. I've read it now, and I'm changed, and that is I'm Thinking of Ending Things by Iain Reid. This freaking book is so good. I read this on Scribd, and I got this copy from the library, which I need to return very soon. I gave this book 5 stars. I'm amazed by this. I think it's freaking genius. I think this is Iain Reid's debut novel too, if I'm not mistaken. It's very intellectual, it's very philosophical, it's psychological, it's mind-bending, it's dark, it's thrilling, it's a little bit quirky and weird, but at the same time it's enigmatic and thought-provoking and just intense and so suspenseful. The suspense.
The suspense.
Some people call this horror. I don't think it's horror. I think it's a psychological thriller. It's just got that little bit of weirdness. Has a lot of commentary on mental health, which I absolutely love. Let me tell you the general gist. We're following this couple. They're kind of a new couple. They've been together like 6 weeks. They're driving to his house on this farm where his parents live. It's this long, atmospheric, snowy drive. Literally like half this book is them in the car. You think nothing's happening, but there's so much happening at the same time. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. They're driving on this snowy farmland to go meet this guy's parents, and she is thinking of ending things. She's like, I don't know why I'm going to meet his parents because I don't think I'm as invested as he is, and it's like he can read her mind. Like when she has these thoughts, he'll stop and be like, I'm sorry, what'd you say? And she's like, oh, nothing. And it's just like these really awkward moments where they're having these interactions, but they're both very smart. People have called this book really pretentious, which I can see why they're saying that, but that thought never once crossed my mind when I was reading it. I don't know what that says about me. Maybe I'm pretentious. I don't care. I freaking loved it. I loved the idea of having these like intellectual conversations, but at the same time, it kind of having double meaning to it. And so we're getting into the like philosophical ideology of what we're talking about. And it's just like, it feeds my soul. I love it so much. And the twist, oh my God, the twist at the end. Stick in there. There's some parts that can feel like they're a little slow, but it all means something. Just stick in there for that twist, because that twist will blow your mind and you will want to immediately pick this up and reread it. It just won't make sense. I did watch the adaptation for this as well, and I wasn't a huge fan of the adaptation. I'm not gonna lie. I did feel like the adaptation was absolutely pretentious because they took it to like, they tried to make it more artsy, and while I really enjoyed the cinematography and all the actors were great, they didn't put it together in a way that it was cohesive and that it made sense. The book does that. If you've seen the Netflix adaptation, I would even say go back and read the book even when you already know a twist, because I think it's going to make much more sense that way anyway. I don't recommend the Netflix adaptation. I just don't like how they put it together and did the reveals and everything. If you've read the book, it doesn't make sense, and if you haven't read the book, it really doesn't make sense. So I recommend the book. Read the book. It's amazing. The next book I read is another novella, and that is The Grownup by Gillian Flynn. This one, I actually physically read this whole 62 pages. Oh, thank you. I ended up giving 3 stars, and I'm kind of disappointed, but I'm not, but I am. I just wanted this to be a novel. I didn't want it to be a novella. There are some really, really great things that she started to explore with this that I really wish we could just flesh out with a little bit of a longer story. A lot of a longer story. We're following our protagonist, and I don't know her name. I don't know if they ever actually say her name, to be honest, but she basically has had kind of a rough upbringing. Her mom used her as kind of a ploy to get sympathy, to get like money from people on the streets and whatnot. She just had a really bad childhood. She ended up being a sex worker. Her wrist was getting arthritic from all the hand jobs. And I know it's a weird thing to say. I just love how Gillian Flynn's not afraid to go there. Like, she's so gritty and so daring with her writing. And her writing style, the writing style is still all Gillian Flynn. Like, love it. Love her similes, love her comparisons, love her humor. She tries to move up to the front of the store where she can presumably become a psychic and read people's auras. So she does that. She moves up to the front of the store and gets her break so she doesn't have to give hand jobs anymore. She ends up running into this woman, Susan Burke, who comes into the store and tells her that her house is haunted. Her son seems like he's possessed. He's got black eyes. He keeps making threats to people and terrifying everyone in the family. The father is absent. There's a younger brother who's just so sweet, and she needs help. And so they make an arrangement. And our protagonist goes and stays with her. Then we go on into this haunting. It's a haunted house story. Did I tell you guys that? It's a haunted house story. Yeah, it just fell short. The ending, I loved the beginning. I loved getting to know our protagonist. And then when we got to the house, I was just like, it felt rushed. It felt underdeveloped. It felt like I wanted more. But I still love Gillian Flynn. I'll literally read anything she writes. Please write more, Gillian Flynn, please. I know you don't owe it to me, but I just love your writing so much. Please. I'm asking nicely. That one I gave 3 stars, unfortunately, but I still love her, and I still love that book. The first sentence for Grownup, so let's do that first. I didn't stop giving hand jobs because I wasn't good at it. I stopped giving hand jobs because I was the best at it. The next thriller or horror that I read was The Couple Next Door by Sheri Lapena. This was the first Sheri Lapena that I have read, and I was very happy with it. Kept my interest the entire book. I randomly picked this up on audio. I had it on Libby, so it was from the library. I just randomly picked it up. I said, I have this book at home. I'm going to go ahead and listen to it. I listened to it in one day, in one shift at work. It was fast-paced, it was quick, it was twisty. I ended up giving it 4 stars. We're following Anne and Marco, and they are this couple. Anne comes from old money. She used to work in a museum or something like really artsy and cool. They have a 6-month-old baby, and she's suffering with postpartum depression, just having a really hard time right now. Marco is an entrepreneur. He has his own business. His business is not doing the greatest. They have plans to go next door. They literally, it's like row houses. They share a wall with this couple next door for like a dinner party, but the babysitter cancels, and so they decide we'll just set the monitor up, and so we can hear her every 30 minutes like clockwork go check on the baby. The baby goes missing at some point during the night. This entire book is trying to figure out what happened to the baby, who has the baby, where did it go, what are the motivations. Everybody has secrets. There's tons of twists. And yeah, that's all I'll really say about it. I probably won't remember this forever, but honestly, I had a fun ride with it, and I will definitely be checking out more from Sheri Lapena. The first line is, Anne can feel the acid churning in her stomach and creeping up her throat. Her head is swimming. That's it. Not the best first line, but not terrible. I have The Kind Worth Killing by Peter Swanson. I've read a few Peter Swansons now. The last one was Every Vow You Break, which I liked. I think it got a little bit of some bad reviews, but I really enjoyed it, so I wanted to continue on. I've heard some really awesome things about this book, The Kind Worth Killing. I read this on script in my ear, started it out physical, and then finished it with the audiobook. This is a dual POV for most of the book anyway. We're following Ted and Lily. Ted is kind of this Silicon Valley Richie Rich dude. Lily, I think she's actually like a museum curator too, just like Anne in the last book was. What? Did I make that up? I don't know, it's possible. She's really smart and just beautiful, and both of these characters are absolutely morally ambiguous and morally gray, and maybe past that, somewhere on the spectrum there. Basically, these two meet up in an airport, and they get to talking, come to find out that Ted's wife is cheating, or he suspects it, and he tells her half-heartedly, jokingly, that he wants to kill her, and she says,
Okay, let's do it.
if you're serious, meet me at this place at this time. And then then a lot of shenanigans happen and shit hits the fan. I gotta say, I did enjoy this book, but it wasn't anything great for me. I've heard such great things about this that I was expecting to be blown away, and I wasn't blown away. There were some slower parts, and honestly, I really didn't like Ted's perspective as much as I liked Lily, but I feel like Lily is kind of more of the main protagonist of this anyway, even though we're talking about Ted's wife and his relationship. There is a twist that happens about like just under halfway, page 139 in this soft cover. Yeah, or about, you know, this far in when there's this like really, really big twist, and that affects the entire rest of the story. And then there's some twists in here that I really enjoyed too. And the very end made me sad. Let's just say that. Yeah, I thought it was good. I gave it 3.5 stars. You know, it wasn't the best thriller I've ever read, and it wasn't as good as I thought people were making it out to be, but I really did enjoy it. All right, so let's read the first line. It says, Part 1, The Rules of Airport Bars. Chapter 1 is from Ted's perspective. Hello there, she said. Terrible first line. Terrible. Okay, so the next 3 books I read were all books that I read in a reading blog that I will link up above. That was haunting books. I'm exploring horror, and for this vlog, I was exploring all haunting subgenres of horror. So I read, first and foremost, my absolute favorite of these 3, and probably will stick with me for a very long time, is The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones. I gave this 5 stars. I thought it was absolutely stellar. It was so unique and so different, so poignant, and I just loved Stephen Graham Jones' writing style. I know, like, I've heard some people don't like his writing style, but I thought it was really great. I feel like he's just a really out-of-the-box thinker and out-of-the-box author. He's so unlike anything I've ever read before. I guess I'll give you the general gist. I'm not sure if I know how to describe this, but we're following this group of friends. They are Native Americans in the Blackfeet tribe. 10 years ago, something happened where they went hunting on these grounds for elk that they were not supposed to be hunting on. It was forbidden. It was reserved for the elders. And they killed these elk. Something about these elk is not ordinary. Now they're being haunted. And they're being tracked down one by one and taken out. It's gory. It's nonchalantly gory. It's also deeply poetic, and I don't know how else to describe it. Read this book if you haven't read it. It's a little slow in the beginning, but once you start catching on, and I was confused the entire way through. Don't get me wrong, I was confused the whole way through. But once I got to the end, I was like, oh my god, this is why, and that's what happened, and this is what happened, and So I highly recommend this, The Only Good Indians. The next 2 I don't have physical copies of, but those are The Haunting of Hill House was actually the least favorite book that I read this month. I know. Don't come at me. Like, I'm sorry. That I can only tell my truth. I'm just living my truth. I just didn't like it. There were certain aspects of it I absolutely loved. I loved the character-driven prose. I loved that the deep dive into each of these characters and how they were I loved the characters. Like, if I could take those characters and put them in a different story, I would do that because I loved the characters. But unfortunately, they're in this story, and there's nothing I can do about that because this was written in 1959. Well, actually, that would be a pretty cool retelling. Don't steal that idea, that's mine. I just ended up not liking how this turned out. I'm not going to go into too much detail about these because you can go watch my vlog if you're interested, and I certainly rant about it on there. I just didn't love how it ended. I didn't like that we didn't get a resolution or any kind of like connection to this house from these people to the house. It made no sense to me. No live organism can continue for long to exist sanely under conditions of absolute reality. Even larks and katydids are supposed by some to dream. I gave it 2.5 stars, and then the last book that I want to talk about this month is The Drowning Kind by Jennifer McMahon. This was a dual timeline haunting horror set in like the Northeast, Vermont, or somewhere over there. The first timeline is current day, and you have these 2 sisters, Jax and what was her name? I don't know, her sister. The sister has some mental health issues, but she's always been good at everything, and Jax has always been jealous. The sister lives in this house that was given to her from their grandmother. She has these manic episodes and Jax is just worn out, and one night her sister calls her and she's obviously having this manic episode and Jax doesn't want to deal with it. She just lets it go to voicemail. She ends up really regretting that when she finds out the next day that her sister has died and drowned in the pool in the back of their house. And then the second timeline, we're following this really sweet couple in the early 1920s. They are newly married but older couple, not older, but she's 36 and they're trying to have a baby. They're just both very sweet. He's a doctor and they have this perfect marriage and they think the only thing that can make it better is if they have a child, but she's not getting pregnant. She can't figure out why. And so they hear of this hotel that has this pond or this pool that is supposed to be like the fountain of youth. Like it cures all your ailments. It does everything. It's just the miracle water. So they decide to go to this pool and there is connection between the two storylines. There is connection between all of the characters and the people in this small town, and I really enjoyed it. I think I gave it 3.75 stars. Oh, first lines. First lines. The Drowning Kind. It's like a little poem at the beginning, so I'm going to read that to you. In the water dark and deep, where she waits fast asleep, all alone, pale and cold, don't wake her up or she'll catch hold. Her soothing voice, so soft and low, is the last thing you'll ever know. 4 simple words whispered in your ear, a gentle wind only you can hear. Come swimming with me. Is that it? Is it everything? It's everything I read. That's all of it. Okay, whew. Okay, guys. I gotta go. I'm sorry if my energy was a little bit down. It's been a hard day. My dog is very old and I think he's dying. And I wasn't even sure I could do this today. So yeah, if you're still with me, if you're still here for the sad part, I didn't want to mention it earlier because I didn't want you to sympathy watch the episode, but yeah, it's just been a really, really hard day. So I'm sorry if my energy's been a little bit down, but you know, we all love our doggies and he's very old and sometimes, you know, you just have to come to the realization that they can't stay with us forever. But I love you guys. If you're still here, honestly, like, thank you so much. And please subscribe if you haven't already. I promise not to be emo in my videos. I'll try not to. But yeah, what else? Talk to me about these books. What do you think? Don't hate on me for The Haunting of Hill House. Like, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I know you loved it. I didn't. It's fine. It's my opinion. I'm allowed to have it. Stop arguing with me. That's it. Life is short, y'all. Don't forget. Life is fucking short. Reid Riley. Cheers.